How's everybody doing in the WordPress world?
Well, let's see. Looking into the WordPress news, I don't know if anyone follows a lot of the um, video blogs and what have you, but there's been a few that have shut down. WP Water Cooler, which has run for 12 years, did its last episode last week, which is kind of a shame.
Hmm.
You know, Say Reed and Jason Tucker and Cosper, who's one of the core developers at Automatic. I believe he's one of the core developers.
Did
Might be
they cite a
mistaken.
reason for that going away?
Well, Say's always been disenchanted with WordPress, even though she still pushes it. She still uses it and utilizes it. Jason Tucker, who's a long-time WordPress user, has just found it very convoluted as of late. He still uses WordPress for a lot of his client solutions and things of that nature. But for even his own personal blog, including the WP Water Cooler, it's not even running on WordPress. I think he's moved on to Ghost and a few other just really easy platforms to just publish quickly. And I understand their gripe. I mean, if you just want to produce a quick blog or do something fast,
These are non-developers.
they're developers. They've been developers for decades, but it's just a little bit of overhead, for some of the more simple stuff that could easily be accomplished with like VitePress or Ghost or something else. But you don't have to go in, you don't have to go click update, you don't have to go update a theme and update your plugins and what have you. But my question is, I think it kind of begs the question because if you're updating plugins, then you really don't have a simple blog anymore, right? You've kind of stepped beyond that. You've now moved into functionality that goes beyond just a blog. Because WordPress out of the box pretty much just works. I'd like to say that it works fast, but it's not as fast as something as Ghost is. Why they don't have a caching plugin as default is beyond me. Um, Automatic could easily replace a Kismet or add something else to Hello Dolly. The super cache is written by Automatic and it's in the repo.
But you got to remember that not everybody's using the same hosting solution.
Right. No, there are not. But if you just turn on super cache, for the most part of whatever host you're on, it's then competitive with Ghost. Out of the box, though, WordPress is slow unless you turn that on. I don't mean configuring anything. I mean just turning on the plugin itself suddenly speeds up all of your JavaScript and your delivery time. You click the little network tab in Firefox or Chrome or what have you, you can see the response time is pretty slow out of the box compared to, say, Ghost out of the
Hmm.
box. But the
Well,
minute
maybe
you
we
turn
can
on
get into that a
caching,
little bit more
it's so much faster.
as the meeting gets going. Why don't we usually start with introductions? So I'm going to have you put that on hold, Stephen. We can continue to talk about it.
Sure.
But let's take a moment to introduce ourselves so everybody knows who everybody is. I'll go by the order I see you guys on my screen, starting with you, Greg. Why don't you tell
Great.
us? So our introductions, usually just a minute or two. Tell us who you are, where you are, what it
Yeah.
is you do, why you're here. If you have any ideas for our group moving forward, what your biggest WordPress or business challenge, because we also talk about things that are related to small business, since it can be pretty safely assumed that most WordPress users are on the small business side. So take it away, Greg.
Yeah. I'm Greg Dinger. My company is Graybeard Design Group, old part web developer. I had a team that pretty much evaporated during COVID, but for the last 20 plus years, we focused on building e-commerce sites. We've used WordPress to achieve our SEO strategies, and some of that's worked out well, some but not. But as I say, my entire team walked away during COVID, and there are times when I might need a little help here and there. I'm up in Mount Shasta. You can see the mountain in my background there.
Nice.
And it beats the heck out of being in a big crowded city.
No doubt, no doubt. How about over to you, Stephen?
Oh, I'm Steve, and I'm in San Bernardino. Oh no, wrong
Actually,
Steve. All right, no,
hold
no,
on.
no, check it out. I'm Stephen J2. Go ahead, Steve.
Hold on a second, Steve. I meant Steven. We
That's
got a
right, I got
Steven,
it.
we got a Steve.
And I'm Stephen J as well. That's great. Go ahead.
Well, let's go with Steven Carnum. I'm just going in the order I see you guys on my screen.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm Stephen J. Stephen Carnum. I've been in the WordPress sphere for well over a decade. I'm one of the original founders of the Advanced WordPress group that started in San Diego. Actually, it's one of the largest WordPress groups. They're also on Facebook. They have hundreds of thousands of users. I'm no longer an admin there. I kind of stepped away from it for a little while, but you can still find me there contributing every now and then if you're on Facebook. There is a LinkedIn version, and then there's also the website, but the website hasn't been updated for years. I used to run a company called ServerPress, where we specialized in developing workflow tools for WordPress developers. That had a good 12-year run before we shut that down about 2.5 years ago. But I'm still doing WordPress stuff. I have a company called VirtualSoft, and they are still working away. We're still working away and doing WordPress stuff.
Very cool. Good to have you here. Now we'll get to you, Steve.
Oh man, I'm so sorry. That's so weird.
No worries.
I spell my name the same way, and my middle initial is James. I mean, it's just unbelievable. I had a case of mistaken identity there. Anyway,
Don't even.
Yeah, it's crazy. Anyway, I'm Steve. I'm San Bernardino, and I've been using WordPress professionally for just over 12 years. You know, build tons of brochure sites.
Let me interrupt you for a second there, Steve. I encourage you, if you'd like, all of you, to go ahead and put your contact information in the chat so other people can contact you.
Oh, okay, I'll do that.
Anyway, back to you, Steve.
Yep, thanks. So that's me, the who, and then the where is San Bernardino, California, Inland Empire. I'm also one of the hosts of the Inland Empire WordPress meetup group, and my particular meeting is second Thursday, and it's a help desk meeting. And then why I'm here? Well, because I got a buddy in San Diego, and he attends this meeting, and I always like to stay current and hear what everybody's got to say. And then biggest WordPress for Business Challenge. I have issues. Well, I have a bartending school, and we have issues with Facebook advertising because they don't understand what the difference is between training and not having alcohol in your bottles in a bar and all that kind of stuff. And I also Facebook, business page marketing is kind of a pain, and they've changed it up so much now with their AI. That's a big deal. And I meet with a professional once a week and from Facebook to talk about it, and we pay big money, and that's the biggest challenge I have with my clients. I do have a current concern, which is I have a school that's hired me and to set up a donation for one of their fundraisers, like they're going to have a run and they want to be able to sponsor kids directly, and have about 10 days to get that done. So if you have any of those suggestions on how to, some sort of a plugin that works for, you can type in the kid's name, type in the teacher name, and then you can press how much you want to donate, and it'll bill you. If you know how to do that, if you've got any quick ideas off the top of your head, please drop those in the chat. I'll thank you forever. That's it.
Cool. Over to Mike Noter.
Yeah, I'm Mike from Spokane. I run a bunch of websites. I host WordPress and WooCommerce meetups. I usually have something going on every week, and I have a new pop-up one coming up last week of this month, and it's going to be for contracts, for hosting and web development contracts. It came out of one of the past meetups. And I'm here because I support Edward and his San Diego meetup, and I always like to learn what I can, where I can. So thanks for hosting, and good to see everybody again.
Awesome to have you here. I'm going to jump over Daryl for a second, because Daryl is going to be leading a chat in a minute on LinkedIn ads. So I'm going to let him introduce himself as he starts that. So I'll turn it over to Trish Trish, welcome. We're doing introductions. We just ask you take a minute or two and tell us who you are, where you
Okay.
are, what it is you
Yeah.
do,
Yeah, well,
why
I'm
you're here.
also in San Diego, which is one reason why I wanted to come to this. I wanted to kind of find out if there's much of a community left in San Diego that's active now in the WordPress environment. I used to be more involved. I was involved in when we had WordCamp back in the late teens, as a volunteer and organizer. And I haven't really then, I don't know, I just kind of stopped doing everything. But so that was one thing I wanted to find out from you maybe is, locally, is there anything happening to get involved in? Like, I don't know, do they even have word camps anymore here? I know we had one recently, and I didn't hear about it until it was full and almost upon us. So I didn't go to it. I couldn't get a ticket. So
Very small. Yeah, the WordCamp San Diego was the last WordCamp San Diego was the US WordCamp. So it was supposed to be the big one.
yeah.
But unfortunately, it kind of happened, on the heels of COVID. So it turned out to be quite a small one. I tried to get into it. I've never been to a WordCamp US. Interestingly enough, I was a keynote speaker for WordCamp San Diego, the last, local San Diego group.
Okay.
And so I've spoken at that I did a keynote for that, and I've also spoken at WordCamp San Diego at least twice before that as well. But the last WordCamp was the US WordCamp, and so the big one was here in San Diego. I don't know.
I haven't looked on the site to see if there's
A
anything.
couple of, just FYI, a couple of our members are going to Portland WordCamp
Yeah.
in September. And as a matter of fact, I asked one of them, Brendan O'Connell, if he would download us, if he would kind of be there as, taking special notes that he can bring back to us and give us a report on interesting topics and products and happenings at Portland WordCamp. So that'll be October 14th. That's our October meeting. So make sure you don't miss that, because maybe that might help you get reconnected to the WordCamp world.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of the world is still reeling from, let's face it, folks, pandemic changed the face of networking. It really did. A lot of meetups are struggling. I mean, it's amazing, but we've got 1,025 members in this group. And, I think last month it wasn't that long ago that we'd get 12, 14 folks. We're a little light because we just have a regular meeting this month. But it's, and I'm always looking for ideas from the more experienced WordPressers, well, at least the more experienced networkers in the WordPress space, on how we can get this group more robust and more involved. We have some great and lively and informative discussions, but we could use some more folks. We could still do that before it starts getting, clunky and overcrowded, where you're having to talk over each other, or having to have people raise their hands and all that sort of stuff, or just have them be seminar forums. But anyway, so October 14th,
Okay.
Portland WordCamp. Since I'm talking, I'll just tell you guys really quick that I'm Edward Sanchez. I am the owner, founder of Brass Ring Web Design here in San Diego, California. I've been building websites since '98. Started specializing in the WordPress space around 2009. And my specialty is working with people who came to WordPress because of the DIY budget reasons, and either discovered or haven't discovered yet that DIY really doesn't deliver like many people hope it will. because a large component of a website is marketing, and not everybody has the marketing wherewithal to put together an effective site. So that's my gig, and to make sure that I help those people that do DIY specialty or reflex or drive. I make sure that in addition to advanced planning to make sure the site is correct and then building it correctly, then that also I provide training and coaching so people have someone that they can turn to get help with their website, know what to do with it, because a lot of people, when it launches, it's like a lot of us, and I did it for years, we just kind of tip our hat and say, hey, call me if you need me. But most people don't have a plan, or they have to be turned over to something that's going to cost them hundreds, thousands of dollars a month. So I can help them with that DIY, motivation. Anyway, last but by no means least, let me introduce Daryl Oberg. Daryl kindly offered to lead us in a talk about his specialty, or one of his specialties, which is LinkedIn lead ads. So I'll let Daryl tell you about it. And I have co-hosted you, Daryl, so you are able to take over screen sharing if you need to, whatever you want to do. Okay.
All right, I'll leave it pretty open. I'm planning more of a Q&A as it was impromptu after our discussion last week.
Okay.
Hello, I'm Daryl. I'm the owner, founder of AYD Internet Marketing. I help business owners scale and grow their business by building a prospecting funnel through their digital marketing. I have a connection and a team that's able to handle everything from website to the social, the content. And my specialty lies in the search and social advertising. More specifically, and I've been worked with Google Tag Manager, Google Analytics for setting up tracking for Meta, LinkedIn ads, you name it. And a bit about me, I started in the marketing space around 2012. Started doing advertising 2017. I used to do web design, video editing, and I've settled into that space, but since then built a network to support people. And I know Edward because we've been working on building this group, and he has the specialty around DIY and WordPress. So I look to find people in alignment. So as far as, where I fit in with this group is I'm not necessarily WordPress, but WordPress people need landing pages. And usually it's Shopify, BigCommerce, or a lot of people end up getting their site built on WordPress. So we can all share from each other's knowledge here. So leading into LinkedIn, I was talking with Edward, and I've been helping him with ads on LinkedIn. I've run them in the past, so I thought maybe people have questions. And maybe you're wondering where to start and what to do first before you run ads. I did this with the presentation with Google. It's a little short on time, however, I can give you the quick rundown here. The foundation of LinkedIn ads is very much like Google ads in that you need a good website, or even Meta. You need a good website, things like that. So with LinkedIn, it's your social profile has to be active and up to date is really important, along with your company pages. So leading to that, I'm not going to cover social specifically. I mean, we actually have a resident expert, Holly. She's not here right now, but if someone really wanted to do a deep dive into LinkedIn, I can do the high level, but she's much better at it than me. We could arrange that. I wanted to focus more on the ad side and see if anyone's considered that, or has been looking into it. So it's open. This is open mic, more or less. You can drop your questions in the chat. Wait, let me scroll down. Did I miss some? No.
Is anybody in the room using LinkedIn ads currently?
No.
Any social ads whatsoever?
Facebook.
Facebook.
I don't pay for any of that.
Okay. Curious why? Because I've learned that with ads, there's a place where you need to be at a place with proof of concept before you run them. There's a point, depending, it may just be for scaling or business.
Well,
Eventually, you need the ads to scale because everything's pay to play at a certain point. So if your business is you're happy where it's at, you don't need the ads. But the companies that I help, they hit a point where they need the ads, or sometimes they do it as their SEO is growing. It can be a smaller spend as they grow the organic, and they might scale them back depending on how much they want to grow. I prefer the clients that actually want to scale more, so they keep the spend usually goes up because usually there's more things I can help them with. The landing pages, funnel, CRM. There's so many different things they need help with.
yeah, I wasn't. My comment was not to meant that there isn't value there. There certainly
Oh,
is.
turn it that way. Oh, I didn't take it.
Right.
Not everyone needs to run ads, nor are they ready.
Yeah, I'm not trying to scale. I'm in a situation where I really don't need more business, and I can drive enough traffic if when I'm focused on my own way without paying for ads. But for a lot of people that want to scale quickly, or they're trying to grow market share, yeah, there's lots of good reasons to use social media for scaling, just like you're saying. So I did not mean to be. My
I don't
comment
take
may
it
have came off a
personally.
little critical
No,
there. That was
I don't
not
think
my
you came.
intention.
I don't think you came across. Well,
I
let's face it. When we're doing ads or any sort of marketing, we're trying to go after either brand awareness or actual cha-chings, actual sales, And I know that Mike, you're pretty active in the in the WordPress space, also the WooCommerce space, and that's one of the things. If you're out, I did my presentation on the hub and spokes thing, and personal networking, whether it's in Zoom or face to face, can be a really powerful spoke to direct, business your way. And at the end of the day, it's about, being able to balance time available with money needed.
Yeah, it depends on the client a lot of times. A lot of the stuff that the people I work with, we can do it with live events and trade associations and direct marketing type stuff that we don't really have to do when you shotgun out on LinkedIn or Facebook or Twitter. And I know you can geofence, but you're losing a lot of value. I think you can dial in a lot of different ways to promote a specific business. But then again, it depends on the client, right?
Well,
Depends on
maybe,
what their specific needs is.
it's interesting that you use the term shotgun because actually one of the main things that Daryl has been helping me with is the portals on these social media ad
For targeting.
dashboards can be pretty convoluted, pretty hard. But we got to remember that more than ever before, these audiences are there. It's just a matter of using the tools to target them. Maybe you could talk a little bit about that and maybe even give a little bit of an idea of how to create an audience or that sort of thing to give people a sense of how you can drill down and get pretty damn specific on how this works. Just a thought.
That was a good point. It's how it works is you have your targeting, and then the other half is largely driven by your content. So that's your ad copy, your visuals, which, excuse me, it is typically your images or your video. You use that to filter and qualify. And a lot of what you're doing, it's more so with social than with search, but there are elements you'll run an ad, say an awareness ad, you get engagement, and then you remarket to that same person. And the idea is you're actually paying up front you don't get an immediate return, which is where there's a misconception that social ads don't work, especially LinkedIn, right? Like e-com, you can do a little less remarketing with Meta. Some are shorter. I've seen some industries where the lead gen works. They have a decent enough brand. They don't need as much remarketing. LinkedIn is heavy on the remarketing because it's a lot of B2B relationship building. So you're spending and you're building different audiences and you have to pay to build them. You can upload, but you also have to pay. And as people engage with your ads, your video, as they do a like, comment, you can then start serving them different ads with more intent, and eventually they'll buy. If that makes sense. So you have to be willing in the beginning to pay to build the awareness and start building that audience to eventually offer them something so they're ready to buy when they like, know, and trust, which is why LinkedIn can be expensive. However, if you look at the audience, you're paying more up front. But as you build the right audience and you start learning what to offer, you can actually, the lead cost can be lower than other alternatives like Google or Meta, because depending on your service, LinkedIn has a very unique audience that the other platforms don't. Does that make sense?
How do the rates compare between LinkedIn, which is a newer platform, and Google or Meta?
LinkedIn's actually about the same age as Google, 2004. It was started. Just used to be a resume site. Their ads are newer. They're a little bit clunkier. It varies, like Mike said.
Maybe I should
know
have said
some industries
less.
are expensive.
They seem to be a less sophisticated site than Meta, and maybe that's not even the right word, because I know I've been aware of LinkedIn for a long time, but they certainly haven't had the widespread usage, it seems.
It's a pretty big
It's
platform.
growing.
It is a
It's
yeah, no, it
Especially
definitely
since
is.
Microsoft's acquisition, they've definitely poured in a lot of money into it, and it's grown in both good ways and bad ways. I get a lot more spam now on LinkedIn than I ever have before, so that tells you something.
Well, would anybody agree that Google and Meta in some ways have done a pretty good job of driving business, at least ad business, to LinkedIn?
Yeah, their platforms work better too.
Yeah, I would say that, for sure. I would love to leave Facebook, but like I said, the Advanced WordPress group and dozens of other web technology groups that I'm a member of, Node-RED and PHP and what have you, they're just prolific. It's really hard to leave simply because it's an easy platform to communicate. So
Meta dominates groups still. I found a few groups that get engagement on LinkedIn. Meta still dominates it, and certain products still sell really well. E-com, it does really well. Some clients, it's TikTok. I mean, it depends on what your goal is, who you're trying to reach. LinkedIn just seems to be misunderstood. So it's not Google, it's not e-com on Meta. You're using it to build an audience. You want to get people on a mailing list. Very often the goal with LinkedIn, so where it's different is, it might be, I want you on the mailing list, or I want to get you in a lead magnet so I can email you and you might buy from me in a year or two. You got to think this is B2B, and people have buying cycles, subscriptions expire, contracts, and you're really, a lot of the goal isn't to get someone and then sell them something on LinkedIn. It's to get them off LinkedIn. Now they're in your CRM. Can you market them? Can you get them to an event? You have to, the mind is, but you do have to build the audience. If you watch those YouTube ads where they have one ad and they feed you another one and they say it's a SaaS, right? You'll notice as they retarget you, LinkedIn's the same thing. You have to think of it that way. Give lots of value through content, your posts, and yeah, you have to spend money up front and not make any money. But the silver lining is once you have that audience, as long as you can keep spending, so you have to be in that position, be willing to invest and be in that place, you now can have a really solid audience that you can start building and hopefully get them off LinkedIn. Now where you're nurturing them, maybe in your own meetup, at events, mailing lists, get their emails. So that's where LinkedIn of people say it doesn't work. If you treat it like Google, a plumber trying to run ads for someone who has a leaky faucet, who's soaking the floor right now, it will fail and it's expensive. So definitely to your comment about the shotgun, it's very expensive to do a one-time shotgun, hoping to get leads on LinkedIn. It's really about building through content and then serving ads to people who engage with certain content and feeding them through that journey. Just like in real life prospecting, right? You're just automating it through content.
And I find that especially in the small business realm, and this, considering what we were saying about how pandemic affected the world, I think that lead ads are more, mandatory is the word that leaps to mind than ever before, because a lot of the audiences, let's face it, in most Zoom networking and most things, we're not able to, hand somebody a business card and talk to them about their particular needs after a meeting, what have you. Whereas a lead or a campaign or campaigns that are letting people know that you're available, that you have expertise, you have credibility, you have character that they can trust, and then once the awareness is there, then the products can be promoted. Because I think maybe a lot of people who do social ads start, and I see this in groups and everything, people will just join the group and start immediately trying to get business, and that is off-putting. And I think it's
Well, it doesn't work ever. It's like selling a WordPress website. Do you sell the WordPress website first? Well, no. Well, no. You first establish a need. Where are you at? Do you need the website right now? How much, if you do, how much do you need to spend? Is there something else maybe you need to work on in your business first? Sometimes they need the site. Maybe it's good enough. Maybe they just need to do an email list and their website just needs a minor update of content and it looks okay. And they just need to follow up with their CRM, with their clients, get some more cash flow, and then invest in a better website to drive cold traffic to. So if you take that concept, LinkedIn ads are very similar. Just awareness, how can I help you? Here's how it works.
You want to give us a little tour / demo for people here who may have never even seen the portal? No, that's okay.
I gotta see if there's an account, right? I don't know what data I could share because a lot of it's got, right client stuff in there. I have to be careful.
While he's contemplating your question, Ed, I'll make a couple of comments about my perception of LinkedIn.
Yeah,
And I
Mike.
think it's more of a business networking, professional networking. I don't think it doesn't seem to me to be really suitable for consumer marketing.
100%.
Oh, it's
That's what
definitely
it is.
B2B.
100%.
Absolutely
Yeah.
B2B.
And that's
right.
so B2B
So
is, yeah.
if you specialize in a certain aspect of law or environmental science, that's how you make those connections. But as far as paying for ads to make those connections, I don't know. I mean, if you're a environmental consulting firm and you're looking for people, I don't know. LinkedIn has never really been functionally. It's kind of been rough for me. Facebook, Twitter, Google, those guys, all the Apple stuff that works really more seamlessly. LinkedIn's just been glitchy. Now I'm on it. I've been getting people. I don't ask for anybody, but I'm still several hundred. I don't know what it is. And I know when I go looking for certain specialized services, I will go to LinkedIn, or I'll run an ad, or not an ad, but a post.
You're going to get a different caliber of user on LinkedIn than you are on Facebook, for sure. And I know that from not just the WordPress community, it's not so apparent in WordPress, because WordPress does have a lot of beginners, and you'll find more of those on Facebook than you would on LinkedIn. But for other communities like PHP programming or say Node-RED or Node.js development, it seems like LinkedIn's going to have your
higher programming type, coding type talent. I
Higher
do use
ticket as well.
LinkedIn.
I should say,
I
yeah.
do use LinkedIn to post. And I've been doing this the last couple of months of posting by the Woo Wednesday meetups. But I have an agenda and I just go ahead and post it on there. And that, I'll get quite a number of impressions or likes or whatever. I don't know that it generates any more traffic, but if I get very many more people at Woo Wednesday, it might be a little too crowded. I think about 20 is about right for these meetups. You get to 30, 40, it gets there's
It starts getting clunky, yeah.
crossover. I mean, the more is sort of a vindication, right? You always want more people coming. That means you're providing value. But I don't know if it's as the user experience as much because half the people in this group that I know pretty well, and a couple of them have come to my meetups, and they kind of know we have a nice little interaction where we solve problems right on the spot. But if I had 50 people in that meetup, I'd have to go to I'd have to throttle the conversations.
Well, that's where, you ever use breakout rooms?
Yeah, well, I've played around with them.
Because that is definitely a way that the bigger groups that I'm a part of have used breakout rooms, where you'll have during the introduction, people will give a sense of what kind of issues they have, and maybe a pattern develops where we've got people who want to talk about this sort of.
I'm familiar with that, and I know Daryl wants to say something, but Steve and we run a lot of these meetups, and Steve's got a pretty big one too. And people are interested in the main topic. So if you're trying to figure out a plugin, you're trying to contact form, or why your site's not loading, or what's wrong with your hosting, or what's your security issue, people don't want to go to the breakout rooms because they want to stick to
They don't want to miss the topic.
Yeah, they feel like they might be missing out a little bit. That's not always the case. But the way we run our meetups, they tend to be help desks, and then I run a news portion too. But yeah, I've been in these speed networking groups that work pretty well with the breakout rooms. That works pretty well, and you can meet some.
Maybe that's a good idea that you just mentioned. Maybe start bringing some headlines.
Are we done with the link? I was going to say, do we want to change topics on this? Because it sounds like we're kind of.
I think you still have more to.
I was just wondering if we're.
No,
as far as the ads, yeah, but I guess if we want to wrap that up, unless we have questions, what Mike said right there. So common thing you might do on LinkedIn, it could be here's a resource. A common one is LinkedIn gives away these playbooks. Just here's a big ebook on how to use our platform. It could be here's a webinar, get them on the mailing list. SaaS, for example, in certain industries, it's great. Life science, if it's a SaaS product. It's how do you do something better for your business? It's educational, constant contact. How do you use email to get more clients? You're getting them into a resource even free to give them more resources to build value. So the goal of LinkedIn with the ads is essentially what we're doing here. It's not really, so when you say lead generation on LinkedIn, it's not like lead generation on Google. It's you just want them aware and off LinkedIn so they keep engaging with you. So eventually buy something is the idea. You have to give away a lot of value. So a lot of times you're getting the ad, just give even more value for free because you're building a long-term, because they don't buy right away. It can be 2 years. A lot of these who you're connecting with. So what we said here completely ties in. If you take that mindset with LinkedIn ads, you will have more success. So ultimately, it just comes down to, do you have the cash flow? And does it make sense for you to invest every month to keep the ads going, to build that back end, to feed the back end of your prospecting buyer journey? Does it make sense, everyone, then? I think it's actually good we brought this up, these points, because if you look at it that way, that's more how LinkedIn works. It's not like Meta, Ecom, or Google ads for a plumber. You're getting a lead and you may not even make money off that lead for a while.
Yeah, you seem to view it more as a branding and a mind share tool to make people aware of your particular company, the space that it's in, and so that later on, you'll come across that right. But you're not really, not to put words in your mouth, but it doesn't seem like you're really trying to generate, and I think you just said that, you're not trying to generate immediate leads. You're trying to position.
Well,
No,
those
it doesn't
successful
work.
marketers are always giving away a lot of free content, and that free content is useful immediately, but it also serves the purpose of building the credibility and the the expertise of that person. So I think probably LinkedIn is superior in those terms, because I mean on LinkedIn I'm getting those Temu ads and clothing ads and all kinds of things like that, whereas as a business person during the day, I'm splitting my day between working with clients and working on my business. And the fact that somebody wants to sell me a tent may not be as useful. They're right in the minute, but LinkedIn, I always find useful content. And I don't know if you guys have been, I'm always being invited to like write opinions on different topics. I don't know if you guys take the opportunity to do that, but that is an opportunity to display who you are and what you have to offer and how you think, by answering some of these questions, that they have to do, they'll have like an issue, and they'll break the issue down into different aspects, different project aspects of that issue, and you can speak on any one of those. I think it's, they want you to do, what is it, 500 words? Something like that.
We're coming up at 10 to 7, so we should probably in the next few minutes start to see if anyone has WordPress questions. I'm thinking here.
Well,
If
nobody really mentioned an issue during the
we can ask,
opening.
just because of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was talking about how what other resources are out there in terms of WordPress and ones that have shut down and kind of why. One of them was the WP Water Cooler, which is a show that focuses on WordPress. They usually have a guest, whether it's a developer that created a popular plugin like ACF or Gravity Forms or something, or a theme author. So the show's been on for over a decade, for 12 years, and it did its last episode last week, which is a shame. There are a few other resources that are still out there. Some popular shows. There's one from Britain. I can't recall the name off the top of my head. Used to watch that one as well. And then there's the admin group, which is a Facebook group, and then also a YouTube channel, or the admin bar, I should say. And that's pretty popular too.
Who was looking for donation plugins?
Steve was. Is it Kevin Gary's Page Building 101? That's become pretty popular last year or so.
Fundraise Up.
Yeah, sorry,
really
I
good.
forgot to mention that. Yeah, you did mention that, Steve. Sorry.
I'm not sure where you're at, but if you're looking for a popular one that's solid, Fundraise Up. I know a few nonprofits that use it, and it works really well. You can connect it with your Meta, Google if you run ads. It has a good integration with GA4 through Tag Manager. I don't know if it's a plugin, it's a platform, but you put the code on your site.
All right.
I know 2 organizations that use it.
Well,
And donation plugins like there's GiveWP, which is very popular, developed here in San Diego by also one of the founders of the Advanced WordPress group. That's Matt Cromwell and Devin Walker created that organization, and it's taken off. It's now a part of Stellar WP, which is, I guess, the parent company for all those plugins that are.
I was just looking at Give.
That's the link I shared a little earlier.
Yeah. And I like Give. I'd forgotten about it, but I like it. It's for a school. It's for a color run for a school, and they want to be able to, instead of like jerking around and sending out, pieces of paper and hoping people send back money. And, we don't ever have cash in this house. I mean, I do everything online, right? So when my son has it's a different school than the one my son goes to. But if it works here, I might propose it to the PTA for my son's school. But the PTA at my buddy's school, my buddy's kid's school, his wife got at me and said, "Hey, can you build us, a little portals that we can just put up here on a PTA site where the parents can just choose a kid, or write in a kid, write in a grade, and set the money, right?" And I'm wondering which wouldn't be best.
Oh, so it's a smaller project. It's not. It sounds
Well, I
like
mean, 700 kids go to the school.
maybe it's worth fundraise up. I'm not sure. I know it's. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it fits the needs and.
It's gonna be a one-time a year. Well, I mean, then they probably would then they could probably use it for anything else. I mean, obviously, any other fundraiser they decide to do. It's a Title I school, and that means they're broke. So I mean, it's banning. It's a banning school, and it's not a huge metropolis by any means. You know what I mean? So it's not LA, for instance. It's not even San Bernardino Unified. Or Riverside Unified. It's banning. So it's kind of small. But yeah, so I'm going to look at these. There's Noter put it on 12 best. So I'm going to look at that and check that out.
Only because it came from Astra. And
Yeah, but I mean, I use that stuff.
they do pretty well. You're not running gravity forms at all?
Well, I don't want to charge this.
Okay.
I want this to be as cheap as I could possibly do for these guys.
Yeah.
All right.
Did you have any other thoughts on that?
No, I have nothing on that except that I just got asked to do it yesterday, like at 11 p.m. and then want it by the 11th. Not by the 11th. That was yesterday. By the 21st. So I have to get this done like this week. So I'll be on it. And because it's for kids and because it's my friends, I'm just going to take a little priority over other people, even if they pay me. And I'm always about the kids. So I mean, I have a special ed kid, so I totally understand. And so that's what's cracking. And so I mean, I don't mind doing it. I just have to figure it out. And I wanted it. I mean, just has to be simple, like I mean, it's almost like I'm thinking, should I just throw up a Facebook thing, right? I'll just say, I mean, a PayPal thing, but then you get to
So I was going to say, PayPal has you can embed PayPal and people just type it in and send the money. If
Well,
that's
that's
all
what
it
I
is.
think, but they take the money, they take the charge, they take the percentage, and I don't want to. I want to try to do something without the percentage because it is a nonprofit. Now, apparently, there's PayPal donations, and apparently, PayPal donations. This is right from this Astra note that Mike put in there. It says the costs are free, and it's super easy. I mean, limited, but you got to use PayPal. So you have to depend on. You can't use can't like send it via your MasterCard or something. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
Yeah,
I do
so-
have 12 repos that utilize that. I haven't gotten a donation today, but it's a link at the bottom of each of my READMEs in all my repos. It's pretty straightforward. I mean, it just just works.
but when you do it, it doesn't. It won't allow. Like if I read let's say I read one of your things and I wanted to give you some money because you got a great name. Wouldn't I? Then I have to have a PayPal account to send it. I can't just use like my debit card or my Visa card to send it, right? No.
That's a good question. Let me take a look.
Well, I mean, based on what this article says, it says you must use PayPal and not other payment processors.
Yeah, and
So PayPal would be the payment processor. There is an option where you don't have to open a PayPal account. You can just go ahead and enter your credit card information.
Well, that's okay because it apparently, but with this PayPal donation widget, the donation apparently that doesn't take like 3% of the charge. It doesn't look like it does that.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm
Well,
trying
PayPal, I mean, they even eliminated, they used to have a means, which was friends and family. which
Yeah.
was a no charge way of transmitting money from one individual to another, but they got rid of that.
Yeah. This sounds like you'd have
At,
to.
at least on business accounts. I
Yeah.
think
Yeah,
it
Right.
might
so
still be. Go
I
ahead.
have an example of that. I can post it, of course. You don't have to donate anything, but if you want to give it a try, you could donate a penny or two.
Yeah, no, I
Um,
got you. I understand.
yeah, and so it does have like a donate with debit or credit card. So you don't actually have to do a PayPal account. But yeah, you're right. The percentage is, it's what all do you get in return for that percentage is a hot debate. It's kind of curious because I know that Stripe just acquired a big company called Lemon Squeezy. If any of you do e-commerce or sell digital goods, you might be familiar with them. But
So look at this. Well, I can't share, but I just went to do it on that link you sent me, and so
yeah,
I said I'm going to give you $1, right? That's what I was going to do,
uh,
and it says add 53 cents to help cover the donation, the fees.
wow.
Is
See,
that
so
is
there you
that
go.
mandatory?
Yeah,
Mandatory, or is it
yeah.
checkbox?
I just can't. If I say donate, I'm sure it's going to he's going to get hammered on the fees.
Yeah, yeah,
Well,
that's
yeah,
probably right.
Well, yeah, I don't want the school to get hammered on the fees.
sure.
It's a school a registered charity?
I don't know that they are. They're Title I school, and I don't think they're a registered charity.
Yeah, because I was going to say that. So I looked up PayPal fundraiser because if they're doing it, you probably have to, what's it, 502 and the 502 think it is? You have to be a
Yeah,
registered full-on charity because they're not going to just give that to everybody or people would just use it for free. So that's to keep in mind, right? That's because
right.
I went to PayPal.com and I read the bottom. And it's listing charities, and there's a process in the Canada and the US to actually be a charity. So yeah, so that's enough. I'm just kind of looking here. Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure just by reading that, they're not just giving it to anybody.
Right. I have to figure out that. I sent you something in the messenger there, Steve, so you can see the image that shows. And I tried to do $10, and it went up to 80 cents. Right.
Damn.
Right. And if
That's
I do
not the charity
$100, I bet
one,
it's going to
man.
be $8. It's going to be $8. Oh, it's 348. $3 and
Yeah,
48
and what
cents.
is it
Right.
that I'm getting? What? Yeah,
Which
no.
which isn't that bad, but it's still, when you're talking about a school, people are going to start freaking to be like, dude, what did that? And you say, well, it was for the ease of you know what I mean? I
Yeah,
agree
totally.
that much, but it's still 3.5%, right? No matter how
Right.
you look at it, it's
And there's others that
This is
go up like as high as 15%. And you often wonder what is it you're getting in return. And it's kind of curious because the whole landscape of commerce is just it's changing rapidly. We know
this
that
is not the internet of the 90s.
no, yeah, exactly. And it's about taxes and what have you. Now, you have to track each state and what the purchases are depending on what goods you're selling.
all of that crap. Yep.
And you have to do it for the EU as well and for each one of the countries. And I came across a interesting statistic or factoid, and it was that if you do sell certain goods or goods to EU countries, each of those EU countries, some of them require, or perhaps all of them, I'm not sure, require that you incorporate in those countries. So, for instance, if I were to sell my goods in Germany, I have to be incorporated in Germany in order to sell them. No one is complying with that. And but automation and everything else that's happening on the internet, it's something that's definitely going to be coming where enforcement is just around the corner. And that's where companies like Stripe come in, because supposedly their huge percentage now is because they will take care of that tax and paperwork for you. So if you use Stripe as a clearinghouse for your digital goods, you don't have to do all of that because they are incorporated in each one of those EU countries. But I don't know, it's crazy.
Right. So if you say add, so if I clicked on that ad in that last picture I put up there with the $1,000, and I click on add 3026, it doesn't go to the total. It doesn't make my total now $1,036.26.
I see. So then I'm probably going to eat it there.
No. And this one, and the one I sent you, you'll eat it. But on this one, well, I didn't send it yet, but I mean, I'm not going to give you $1,000. Sorry, buddy. But in this one here, if you look at this picture here,
Stephen was so excited.
I know he was. I'm sure he was, man. I would be too. But so if I had that kind of money to give him, I would. But this right here, if I click on the ad, is what I'm trying to tell you. If I click on that button, I don't see it on that total, because that means you'll get the 1,000, and I'll pay the processing fee.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like
This
it.
one, if I don't check on it, you don't pay the processing fee. What I would do is I'd see if I couldn't get into this source and mark that check, make the donors uncheck it if they don't want to do it. I want the default to be checked for the school, right?
Right.
Of course, that's against the law, but that's what you want to do.
I was going to say that probably is against the law.
No, it is against the law. Yeah, you don't want to do it. But they have to know that they're, because now all of a sudden, I mean, if I'm tapping out my finances to give my son's school $1,000 or something, I surely don't want to incorporate another $30, especially if I'm running on a couple buck balance. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Well, and nobody's a cheaper B word than me. But one thing that I have discovered in being online as long as I have been is they are definitely closing all those loopholes that we've enjoyed for so long. I mean, and especially being here in California, they'll do it before anybody else does. I remember for years, I would not buy anything online that was in California because I wouldn't have to pay sales tax for years. And it was great. Right. And in some cases, if I'm buying something fairly expensive, the savings were substantial. And now it doesn't matter where you buy it, you're not going to pay that state's tax. You're going to pay California's tax. California is going to charge you for it. So, and I don't know how universal.
We don't collect for California.
What's that?
We don't collect for California.
You don't in Idaho? No. I'm gonna do this. Bucket.
We're a little bit more liberty-minded where I live than.
And I'm gonna add the 53 cents.
California.
Well, I would be very surprised if somebody in Washington was collecting for California.
Yeah,
but here, I mean, you just can't.
Oh yeah, in California, you have my condolences. But what's happening now is everybody's moving into crypto. The transactions are getting traded on the blockchain. More and more of these e-commerce sites are taking money in crypto assets and converting them to dollars. The government's going to eventually catch up, but right now there's a big move there because who wants to hold dollars? Look at what's happening to your dollars, man. It's like the monetary policy of this country is just insane. So the purchasing power is just going off the cliff. Then you can hold just about any other asset than dollars, and you won't lose your purchasing power. You'll probably gain, which is why a lot of people are taking payments in crypto assets now. And that's only going to increase because the older people that were all resistant, they're starting to get a little older now, and the younger people are coming up are more comfortable with it. And there's this transition, and that's why it's become pretty political from the for government and to talk about a central CBD coin, right? That type of thing. Anyway, that's a little off the subject, but it's coming, man.
Right in there.
You're going to stop it.
No, absolutely not.
Right. Anyone have? Hey, so it was good meeting everyone. I have to hop off this call. So I wanted to see if anyone had any questions or anything before I left.
You put your contact in the chat, right?
I did, yes.
Yeah, I have a quick question that pertains to my business because I do a lot of B2B stuff. What is everybody doing most of their WordPress development on? Do you have a staging server? Do you use a local host? And if you do use a local hosting server or personal web server is what we used to call them, what do you use? Do you use MAP? Do you use WAMP? Do you use local WP? I have a personal interest because I used to run a company called ServerPress, and that's what we did.
I've done when I did it was
I met you. That's where I knew you from. I met you before.
Yeah, Steve.
I met you in Riverside because you were running ServerPress. That's the deal. That's where.
That's right. Yeah.
Holy crap, man! Yes,
Been 10 years.
Yes. Yeah, I use local WP now. And then and I used to use MAMP and yours, but I switched to local WP. So
Okay.
Your
Gotcha.
hosting service doesn't provide staging?
that used to run it, he said.
Right, but where's he hosting?
Where's
Oh.
who hosting? Would,
He's saying can you do he's saying can you do a staging with your host?
You know, when I build a site, I just build it live, and I just mark it so the search engines don't. It'll take them 3 weeks to find it anyway, and I build it.
okay. So you do.
So I don't
you
worry
do
about it.
staging on your hosting.
Yeah.
Well, I do have. I got SiteGround. I get free staging, and
I do
I
the
just did
same
a major staging on a rebuild, so I do it that way.
Okay.
But yeah, there's you can do it with WP Build. You can do it with WordPress.com now, Scott.
Yeah, there's there's their sandbox.
Studio, I think it's called.
Yeah.
There's 3 or 4 of them out there that so you
Yeah,
can.
Studio is an interesting animal, and that's
It is
also
interesting.
created a lot
It
of
is interesting.
controversy. But,
And on, I just want to make 2 quick comments. The WordPress.com is offering free hosting service through WordPress meetups. So if if you have a meet, and I'm trying to decide whether I'm going to do it or not, and I think I spoke to the other Steve about this already. But yeah, they're not giving you the cheap version. They're giving the full AI. As long as you may have to be a WordPress authorized or qualified or
yeah.
authenticated, but they're still giving
We haven't visited that topic in a while, but we
Yeah.
certainly when I took over as host of this group, that was something that I looked into because I mean it's recently gone. I was paying monthly for the privilege of running this group, and they have shut that door. They raised their monthly. Well, they haven't shut the door, but they raised the monthly rate. If you want to pay month by month, it is now $44 a month, where it was at $27 a month not that long ago, and that's significant. So they're really trying to get you to pay 6 months minimum at a crack.
Who are you paying?
MeetUp. I think
And
you
then,
mean.
I'm paying directly MeetUp because I looked into the way WordPress, they will sponsor your Meetup fees, but you basically relinquish the host position.
I remember
Turn
that.
you have to turn the group over to WordPress, and they say you have to make them host, and they will co-host you. And the thing is, this group has been around for a lot of years, and I imagine that some version of that has been available for some time, and no host has made the decision. So we talked about it amongst ourselves and decided that we didn't want WordPress to own this group, but that was something we have discussed. And I would imagine that if you wanted that deal on
that's a separate thing. Because I've got WordPress and WooCommerce pays for my meetups, and they pay for my Zoom Pro.
But don't you have to essentially make WordPress the host?
Well, they asked me to take it over, so it was existing meetups that I just went ahead and started running. But what I did is I started another website that I'm kind of building out in case they take it away from me, I can still run with it. But what WordPress.com's doing is they will host your website. They will host it for free if you're engaged in the WordPress community. So you got Meetup.com, you got the streaming Zoom type stuff, and then you got WordPress.com offering to host your WordPress meetup for free, and it's not their cheap one; it's their more expensive version.
So when they offered you to host these, I'm going to guess these were groups that were in danger of folding. With the
pandemic, everything went down, and nobody suddenly. And so I just said, all right, and I was going to them, and I said, okay, I'll just run it. They asked me to run it. So
and that was a conversation with WordPress, not Meetup.
Well, whoever was running WordPress and WooCommerce asked me if I would run it because they were, and I said, sure.
You're the host, not just the co-host.
Yeah, I'm the host. I run them. Steve's there, comes all the time. I see Trish.
I'm gonna have to reach out to them again.
So, but there's 3 things going on here. Now, I understand why you don't want to let them give them the meet. You don't want to have a meetup group and then WordPress come and decide, well, we're going to take it from you.
Well,
That-
I mean, I looked at it as, I tend to, in situations like this, I tend to go, by what the group decides. But at the end of the day, I'm the one that's getting cha-chinged.
Yeah, and that's
I've got
I think the kind of controversy that's going on right now is the way that the WordPress.com and the WordPress org are kind of they're blurring the lines more and more every day, and that's what the big controversy is. And it started with mirroring the plugin directory on .com, and it started to affect the SEO of it, and it really ruffled a lot of feathers.
And the controversy has grown because just last week, WordPress.com's decided to do a partnership with Perplexity, the AI tool, and is surrendering data to all these hostings without their permission. Now they're saying they're going to share the money with them, but that's private content, right? A lot of this WordPress.coms. That might be proprietary stuff. And Matt Wallenberg decided he's just going to start sharing it with them. And I don't know about ethically. Now, I'm not too worried on the WordPress.com stuff because it's pretty much open source anyway. When you do WordPress meetups, you pretty much agree that you're not going to.
Well, the question is, when was the last time anybody read the privacy agreement? Because those are always coming out with addendums. So I would guess that before they do that.
There's definitely a conflict of interest there when it comes to the terms of service versus the the GPL license that's the software itself is shipped under.
Right.
And it's kind of like and that's what's getting is becoming a hot topic, and probably something that we should discuss in another
right. So the license is one thing because you can fork and do whatever, but they're scraping your site for your content.
Yeah,
that's a different animal, man. I don't know about that. This is all new, and I know there's some people up in arms about it. But
fun times.
Yeah. I'm not on WordPress.com. I help people that host there, but I'm on .org.
Right.
I put a link from June. It says I Googled that there was something. That's .com, but I'm not sure exactly what you're looking for.
Yeah, this is just in the last month, right?
I think it was a fifth result down on Google. So you contact them. It said, "Are you an organizer of this WordPress?"
That's exactly it. That's what I was referring to.
Yeah, I put it in there for you, Edward, or anyone else. You can take a peek. I think this is the right form. I'm not sure.
That's what I was saying. I read it before. That's exactly what I was referring to. Because there's free. You can you can decide if you want to deal with WordPress.com and Automatic and some of the stuff that they'll probably require, but free.
When you say free, are you talking about the first year?
No, it's free. It's free forever. It's for you contributing to the WordPress, but you have to be running WordPress meetups, right?
Oh, you got to be running.
There's that spirit of community. You're not
supposed to like $44 a month came in. Okay.
Yeah. Well, no, that's MeetUp.com.
Oh, okay.
Well, I'm not really sure. What Daryl shared and what I was referring to is MeetUp.com. If you want to do a website that supports your meetup, it's separate. They will let you host for free, right? I think they'll give you a domain name and everything, and so you can create your own website that might be WordPress San Diego Learn Today, whatever you want to call it, right? And they will host it for your They will pay for it. They'll give it to you for free for you contributing to the WordPress community. And they're kind of big about that, about giving back.
Sorry, it says local, but so I don't know. Does that mean that it has to be in person? I guess I always ask, right? Just fill it out and ask them. They'll let you know.
I don't think it has to be in person. That's a good question. I was going to meet. There's another guy, Eagle, that runs the San Jose Santa Cruz meetup. I was going to sit down and powwow with him about whether this was a good idea, and then I got busy. But I'm still going to probably send him a letter. I just think these WordPress meetups, these digital meetups, they're just online works better because whenever I go to live, you got to get a room. It's loud. You're trying to share the screen. People can't see. It just doesn't work as nearly as well as online. Now, I like pizza and beer. Don't get me wrong. I like meeting people live too. But if you're working on digital website and you're in the admin and you're looking at a plugin and you're looking at settings, everybody can see it when you share your screen,
Mhm.
right? If you're sitting in a pub, you might not hear the speaker, you might not be able to get the audio visual right, and it's just. And the other thing is, and I'm sure San Diego has this problem. It could be a 2 to 4, 5 hour commitment to go to a 1 hour meetup, whereas online, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, you're there. Here we go, right? They're just meant for online. I think Zoom is great, or any of the meetup tools for these type of events, these type of help desks, these types of digital environment discussions and workabouts.
Yeah, in person is about meeting the people, and then later on, seeing, how can
Yeah.
you help each other?
All right. Well, on that note, gentlemen, my hour is up, but it was nice to meet you all again, or see you all again. It's been a long time. Hopefully I'll be able to tune in a little more often this year. And yeah.
Good having you here, Stephen.
Yeah, thanks everyone. I'm gonna head
And
out here too.
before you guys scoot off, I wanted to ask the question: has anybody here in the last few weeks seen a presentation that they want to put on my radar as something that might be appropriate for us to add to one of our meetings in the future?
No, but if I do, I'll let you know. That's what you're looking for.
Yeah, we could definitely use from anybody here, or if you've seen or experienced something that that might be appropriate for a future meeting of this group, that would be great.
I got you.
Yeah, feel free. I believe I put my contact information. If I didn't, I'll do it
And Steve,
again.
did you get $1.56 from me, or $1 without any charge? I want to know if it worked.
Yeah, let me take a quick peek. Let's see here.
Oh, yeah.
And again, don't forget to save the chat. We can wrap a little early. It's 7:20, unless somebody has a topic. Trish, you've been kind of quiet tonight.
I've just been kind of tuning in. I'm nothing to add, really.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I wish I had more information on that, James. But
Okay.
it's news to me. It's something I'm going to be looking into myself. So I would. I'm not in a position today to give any further insight on that. But so okay. So why don't we start wrapping it up then? And did everybody get their topics discussed? Was there anybody who forgot to bring something up while we're still all here?
Well, just we want to know if it actually worked over there.
That transaction came in. Let's take a quick look. Of course, it's been a while since I've logged into PayPal, so they want me to do a
Oh yeah, 2-factor and all this crap. Yep, I know.
yeah, it's just crazy.
I was just wondering, maybe you got an email or something, because if it worked, I mean, if it did work out, that's kind of cool that it worked.
We're all sitting here with bated breath.
Yeah, I just want to know.
1 second here.
I mean, I know I'm kind of crazy, but I just wanted to know.
Security code.
Did you make up $1.56 tonight, Stephen?
Well, if he made $1, and he didn't pay a fee, but maybe he fell off. Now it looks
Yeah,
like
maybe
he
you
fell
guys
off.
need to submit
No,
more.
he turned off his video.
Oh,
He's
no,
still
there he is. Got
I'm
it.
still here.
Cool.
Okay, I got a code. So, or I can answer your question here in just a minute.
What's your email, Ed?
Did you say Ed?
Yeah, what's your email?
It's in the chat.
No, it isn't.
I just put it on the.
Oh, yeah, there it is. Crap, I see it.
No, I'll share the screen.
No, I got it. Edward at. Got it. I'm just adding the whole contact thing to my thing here, so that's cool.
Nothing yet, Stephen J.
Nope, I don't see anything yet. It looks like there's
No
Well, son
email.
of a bitch.
I'm not going to insult you by suggesting you check your spam folder.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna have to check my spam folder.
Well, here, I'm gonna put my thing in there. If you could just send me a text when it goes through, just so that I know if it went through. I mean, because it's saying I paid it on my PayPal. I just want to know what it looks like on your end, and I don't want you to incur any fees. I want you to get a straight buck from me. You know what I mean? That's what the
For
concern.
sure, and I want your straight buck, man.
Hey, $1.56, man.
Because obviously, if I gave you a straight buck, you'd have got 44 cents is what it appears. What I'm trying to tell you, right?
Did you, Stephen J? Did you put your contact info in the chat?
Yeah, I sure did. If you scroll back there, you'll see my and you know what? I'll just pop in my email address there for you guys to see as well.
Make sure you contact him outside, and Steve Kinsey also put his phone number there. So maybe you guys can have a chat after.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll keep you posted. It looks like there's some sort of delay. I see that there's activity, and it says that they need to verify more information about me. You know, it's crazy. Oh, wait a minute. Money in $1.
Sweet. So that does work then. It works the way you wanted it to work then.
There we go.
So there's no fee?
Well, no, you have to pay the fee.
The donor paid it? You paid it?
I paid it when I donated. There was a checkbox at the bottom of the thing the bottom of the page for me to say, help out with the 56-cent processing fee. And I clicked the box, and I wanted to know if it went through, and it did. Hey,
it did. I got $1 from you. Thank you so much.
Well, I appreciate you rocking and rolling with that and going through that a little bit with me because I how else would I have tested it? You know what I mean, I could test it myself, whatever. I would have had to have someone, and it's way better to have someone that knows what I'm talking about helping me. So I appreciate it. Thanks.
I know Stephen J is going to head out to party.
Yep.
I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up here and end the recording. I will say that I will hang around for I'll leave the room open for a few minutes if you guys want to. Whoops. That's way too loud. I'll hang out for a minute and leave the parking lot open. If anybody wants to stay, and Mike and I can complain about California politics and all that good stuff. But I want to thank you guys for being here. And I'm going to stop recording here in just a moment.